Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the 3-game CSGO main slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, and esports daily fantasy sports slates, esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one, Counter-Strike CSGO. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. Before we get into players, prices, Vegas odds, stuff like that, let's take a look at my lineup here from Tuesday. So, once again, we had the biggest favorites of the day go down. Why am I not surprised? It's literally every single day. I've talked about it a few times now. If you just bet on the big underdogs in CSGO, you would be making a lot of money. Like, literally, it's been crazy how some of these teams are such big favorites and they've been going down. I think Fnatic were like minus 600 favorites, if I remember correctly. And they got 2-0'd. That second map, too, was just, they got absolutely destroyed. I think it was 16-2. So the first map went to overtime in that game. Crims had a really good game one. I was excited. I'm like, yes, I'm finally going to get on the right side of Crims. It's been a while. It's been burning me. I think it was like 34-24 or something of close to that nature in game one. Really good game. Golden was pretty solid for value that game one, and Flusha was decent as well. So I was looking in good shape. Right, and then the game two happens, and yeah, they ended up losing the first game overtime. It was close though; they all good games. The guys that I played, and then map two just went, not their way. They got 16. They lost 16-2. Got absolutely destroyed. Again, it just goes to show anything can really happen here. Those Fnatic guys in the higher dollar tournament, the $33 tournament I was in, they were the absolute chalk. So if you avoided them, you basically won. Now my Heretic stack, that worked. So that was the team I was the most excited about for stacking. Hopefully you guys took that advice and stacked them. And hopefully you avoided the Fnatic guys. Unfortunately, I landed on the Fnatic guys like almost everyone else. But the Heretics guys are really good. I mentioned throwing Navarra in the captain and ended up going with that. Maka had over 100 fantasy points, and Lucky was pretty solid for his price as well. Those three guys really do carry the team. But Kiyoshima was actually pretty decent for value as well. I don't think XMS was terrible either. Again, they got the 2-0 sweep too, which is always good. But yeah, unfortunately for me, in tournaments, when you have a team that gets 2-0, it's near impossible to win when I have three guys in that roster. Now, sure, again, they were pretty chalky, but not in this tournament. I guess this is the big tournament. In the higher, again, like the $33 tournament, all these guys were like over 50% owned for the Fnatic guys. But I do have that $33 tournament up. I just wanted to go over some ownership here. So, they're like those Movistar Riders guys, right? They're the biggest underdogs in the slate. 2% owned, Alex. LOL, 1% owned. Madden was 13% owned. Alu had the huge day, right? Only 29% owned. So there are these guys that you can get at low ownership that have upside, right? I've mentioned them in the last video. Again, you can really get some good low owned plays on these Counter-Strike slates, and it's literally has happened so much that it can definitely happen. So taking a shot on one of those low owned guys that are big underdogs, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Now, let's go over the Vegas odds for this slate. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Just throw your hands in the air because who cares, right? Vegas is wrong basically every time, but it seems like it for Counter-Strike. But yeah, we have Virtus Pro versus Negma Gaming. VP are minus 230 favorites. Ninjas and Pyjamas versus FaZe. FaZe Clan minus 175 favorites. And Astralis versus G2. Astralis are the biggest favorites of the day at minus 265. But again, it really doesn't matter off what we've seen. We've seen so many underdogs pulling off the upsets here. So let's talk about the first game here. Nigma Gaming versus Virtus Pro. So Nigma Gaming is not a team I've got to watch a whole lot recently. They are still, they have a decent ranking, 41st in the world. So I just took a look at some of their stats here on hltv.org, kind of scrolled through. And, the guys that stand out to me obviously are like Lollipop 21K and Speed 4K. Speed 4K, 0.7 kills per round, 0.62 deaths per round, or Lollipop 21K is 0.74 kills per round, 0.66 deaths per round. Everyone else is, I believe, or Jaibu has a positive KD, and MDS is even. But yeah, those are the two guys that stand out the most to me, and they're pretty cheap prices, 7.6 and 7.4K for those two top guys. We've seen 70, 80 fantasy points from them. So The upside's there. They're at cheap price tags. These are two guys. This Nigma side, I think, is going to be the lowest owned of the 6 teams in the slate. And again, we see Movistar Riders. Some of those guys 2% owned, and they won 2-0. So you're going to get these guys the low ownership. If you want to go more that riskier direction, those are the two guys I would look to on this side. You could honestly run a 3-man stack. MDS or Liwu right there, really cheap price tags if you want to go there and just go a full 3-man stack. Don't think that's the worst idea on a 3-game slate. Normally on these smaller slates, I usually go with a 3-3 stack, whether it be a 2 or 3-game slate. On the bigger slates, that's where I can mix things up. Sometimes I will still stick with a 3-3 stack, or maybe like a 2-2-2, 2-2-1-1, or 2-2-1, 2-2-2, right? Stacks like that, 3-2-1. But on these smaller slates, normally I go with like a 3-3 stack, maybe a 3-2-1. But I really do like, again, on these smaller ones, to go into the full 3-3 stacks. On the Virtus Pro side, so I do like the plays here. It's just the price tags. They really, really raise the salaries. And these guys, Jane, Q-Kurt, and Buster, their 3 main guys, are all over 9K. 9.8, 9.4, and 9K respectively. Whereas Sandra and Adrian at 5K and 4.6K respectively. So they're basically forcing you into a Stars and Scrubs build if you want to target these Virtus Pro guys. I think it makes it interesting. I think these price tags, I just think this game in general is going to be low owned. Because, again, the Nigma side, I think they're going to be the lowest owned team on the slate. And the Virtus Pro side, the price tags make it a little bit more difficult, right? With all 3 of those guys above 9K range. But it's going to lower the ownership. And we've seen big games from James. He is their main slayer. He's their opper. For some reason, they don't have that game in between here where he had 90 fan. He was like 46 and 15. He had 90 fantasy points. They had an easy 2-0 sweep. So I like James. I like Q-Kurt. I like Buster. I don't know if they're in the optimal build, though, just because they're price tags. But I think if you want to get exposure to them, they're going to be a lower-owned team. And sure, if you get exposure to them, you're probably going to have to take a shot on either Sanji or Adrian. Both these guys are okay, right? And there's a chance, I guess, they could get the 2-0 sweep. That's where you're kind of hoping for when you play these value guys, is getting that 20-point bonus, like I've mentioned. So Sanji, Adrian, again, not super excited about it. But if you want to go this route, and you want to go more a low-owned stack in a 3-game slate, which, again, low ownership is great in these tournaments, right? So this game in general is going to be low-owned. If you want exposure, I don't think it's the worst idea. It's just more of a contrarian build, more of the, again, I don't think it's the ideal build. So let's move on to Ninjas in Pyjamas versus FaZe. Again, looking at Vegas odds, this one should stay close. FaZe at minus 175 favorites over Ninjas in Pyjamas, but it's close. And the price tags on these guys are pretty appealing. Plopsy's been a guy that they really have not been raising his price tag, and he's been performing consistently. If we're just looking at box scores, right, he rarely has an off game. Now, sure, FaZe is a tougher matchup for sure, but the price tag is just not moving on him. The downside with this team is they're kind of like in Astralis. They are more balanced. But I think Plopsky, again, kind of like Device and Astralis, so I'll get to in a bit, has the most upside on the team. So I do have interest in Plopsky. I just think these guys will be slightly lower owned too, just because they are underdogs. But Plopsky at 7K is probably my favorite play on this side. As far as the other options go, again, just looking at the fantasy points per game, it is so similar. With Knock at 50, Rez at 49.6, Twist at 49.3, Lurko at 49.8. So just for their price tags, right, they're basically, in the games that they have on Draftkings, they're almost the same. I'm just going to take the cheapest one of those, which is Lurko. He's been pretty decent, right? Maybe not as much upside as Plopsky, but he put up 67 the last game against Heretics. That's a good team. He put up 53 against Complexity, basically 50 against Astralis. That's pretty solid for this price tag. So those would be the two I'd probably look to the most on the Ninjas in Pyjamas side. Probably be Plopsky, probably be Lurko. But that doesn't make these guys out of play either. I think this side, again, will be slightly lower owned. But I have interest for sure. On the FaZe side, so FaZe has really looked good recently. And they're a scary team right now. Now, sure, anything can happen. If I'm going to put my money on it, I think FaZe wins this one. So the way I'm going to go about it, I'm probably going to get some phase exposure. They just have been really playing well recently. Nico finally had a big game after a stretch of kind of mediocre games, right? He had almost 100 fantasy points there against contact. But his price tag's up there. But the guys in the mid tier, Brokey, Cold, and Rain, have all flashed upside. Really, all these guys can get you 80, 90 fantasy points. They've all shown it. So this phase side, it's all about how do you want to go about your roster construction, right? Brokey, their opper, his price is coming up, but look at his most recent games: 76, 85, 64, 7. This guy's really consistent. An 8.4K salary. Again, he's been playing really, really good. Looking at his KD, 54 and 43, 50 and 39, 39 and 21, 44 and 29. This phase team right now is clicking on all cylinders. They're a very, very scary team. And Olafmeister, so he was in the 6K range. I thought he was an okay play. Now he's 4.2K. I'd like him a good amount for value. Again, I think phase wins this. That's the way I'm going with. I'm going to probably get some phase exposure. I like the price tag a good amount on Olafmeister if you're looking for someone really cheap. I think he's okay, right? He's not a guy that has enormous upside, but at that price point, you don't need a whole lot from him. So you could pair Olaf with Nico. Or if you want to go 3-man stack, right? You could go Nico, Olaf, one of those guys in the mid-tier. So this phase team, I like a lot. I know they're only small favorites, but I do personally think they win this one. Again, they've been playing really, really good here. So I like phase a good amount here on this slate. And lastly, we have G2 versus Astralis. So Astralis are minus 265 favorites, the biggest favorites of the day. But I think this could go either way. I really do. G2 is a team I've watched a lot recently. Sure, they're kind of up and down, but when they're clicking, these guys, they have some serious talent on this team. Kenny S, especially right now, the stretch of games he's been on has been great to watch. He's their opper, and he's been making clutch after clutch, big play after big play, and he's under 8K. Hunter is under 7K. Sure, he's been a little bit up and down. He's been a guy I've been playing a lot recently, but we've seen big games from him, right? Against FaZe, he put up 70. Mouse Esports put up 75. Against VP, almost put up 80. And he's under 7K. And then Nexa, too. He's at a 6K price tag for a guy that is averaging 65 fantasy points a game. That is way, way too cheap. He's been pretty consistent, too, against good competition. This is a good team, I know, but these guys, they just really stand out if you want to go this direction, right? So I prefer the price tags on these G2 guys. They're very cheap. That doesn't mean I don't like the Astralis side. It's just, the price tags do really stand out on this team. I think it makes it easier to get like a 3-man stack if that's the way you want to go. Jax at 4.8K. He's been a pretty good value play here recently. His price dropped a lot, and he can get you 60, even 70 fantasy points on a good day. Again, these are against good teams: Mouse, FaZe, VP. They're not playing like bad teams, right? They're playing good competition, and this is going to be a good match. Right? I really do think it could go either way. I think these teams are very, very similar. And for that reason, I'm going to slightly prefer the G2 side. Personally, again, I just like the price tags better in them. But let's talk about Astralis. So, Astralis, looking at their salaries, we have Device at the top at 8.8, Magic at 8.6, Zipex at 8.2, Dupree at 7K, and Galave at 6.2K. Again, I voiced my concerns with this roster. Basically, it's tricky to try to decide which one is going to have a good day. It's a really, really balanced team, kind of like a Ninjas and Pyjamas team. Anyone really can go off. Now, sure, again, Device does have the most upside of this team. He is their opper. So I think if you want to go this route, Device at under 9K price tag does look pretty good. Magic's is flash upside. Zipex at 8.2K looks pretty good. Dupree's been a little bit up and down, but 7K is cheap. And then Glave at 6.2K. So really, again, if you want to go this route, I think my preferred play would be Device. Probably then Zipex. And then, Glave at 6.2 is not bad either, right? So really this team, anyone can go off. Now, again, I just like the salaries a little bit better on the G2 side. I know they're underdogs, but 7.8, 6.8, and 6K for their top 3 guys, and 4.8K for a guy Jax that is decent. Even Armanek's not out of play at 4K. Compared to the Astralis guy, where the cheapest price guy is 6.2K. Um, so yeah, I think that basically wraps it up. Let's talk about the captain spot and where I'm kind of looking at. So this first game, again, I think it goes low owned. You really could go either way on this side. VPR favorites, but Lollipop 21K and Speed 4K are guys that do look appealing at their price tags. They're going to be low owned. I know that. The Versus Pro side, it makes it a little bit tricky because their price tags 9.8, 9.4, and 9K. I don't think they're, again, the ideal plays, but you're going to get them at low ownership. And if you get a low owned James and pair him with Q-Kurt and they go off, you're going to be in great shape. So, yeah, again, I don't think they fit the ideal build, but this is a game that is going to be low owned. So if you want to get exposure to a low owned game and take some shots here, I don't mind that at all. The Ninjas and Pyjamas side, again, they're a very balanced team. The price tags are appealing. I'm going to go the way of FaZe on this one. I do think FaZe is the better team. They've really been looking good here. So FaZe is a team that I want some exposure to. There's really not a whole lot of downside to say about these guys. Like I do like the price tag and Olaf as value. I like Nico at the top, even though he's the most expensive guy. He's a little bit up and down, but we know the upside is he can put up over 100 fancy points. And then Brokey, Cold, and Rain, they're all pretty decent price tags. Brokey's been playing really, really consistent, so I do have some interest there. I think those are probably my top 3 for the prices, probably Nico, Brokey, and Olaf. But Cold and Rain are definitely viable too. On the G2 side, so this is probably where I'm going to get a little bit different. Again, we've seen in these higher dollar tournaments, people just go with the favorites, time in, time out. G2 is a team I think can upset a straw. So I think this is where I'm going to get a little bit different and get some G2 exposure. That doesn't mean those Astralis guys are not good plays. They are, right? I just like the price tags a little bit better on G2. And, again, because those VP guys are so expensive, if I go like a 2 or 3 man stack at G2, I can probably still get Nico and get maybe one of those VP guys in there if I want to do that. So it does open up a little bit more for roster construction, getting these G2 guys in there because of their really cheap price tags. If you want to get guys like Nico or those VP guys in there at the top. But again, that does not make Astralis a bad play if you want to go this route. They're a very balanced team. Again, I would probably rank it Device, Zipex, and then Clave for his price. So yeah, that's probably the way that I'm going to go is get some exposure to those G2 guys, probably some FaZe exposure, and then maybe take a shot on 1 or 2 of these guys in a game that I think does go pretty low owned. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I really appreciate it if you would leave a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already. We are closing in at 3.2 thousand subscribers, slowly growing. But yeah, I'll be back for another video to break down the CSGO slate for Thursday. So thanks again for everyone coming to check out the video, and I will see you all in the next one.